The biggest MCU project coming out the rest of the year is Marvel's own reboot of the Fantastic Four, Marvel's very own first family. Alas, they're already signaling to fans that it's going to be another disaster for the modern audience that fans would be well advised to steer clear of. Let's see how. This video is sponsored by Fume. During the making of Fantastic 1 decade ago, fans were in uproar because Fox were making a soulless rights retainer for the sole purpose of keeping the rights away from their corporate enemy Disney, Marvel and the MCU. Because back then, fans still believed in Marvel and trusted no one but them to do the Fantastic Four right. Now, 1 decade later, fans got their wish, as Marvel actually are making a Fantastic Four movie of their own, but there seems to be a monkey's paw-like curse attached to it, because the Marvel doing it is one that fans no longer believe in. If anything, fans have less faith in the current iteration of Marvel than they had in Fox even at their worst. And showcasing that there is indeed every reason to worry, the talent involved with Marvel's upcoming Fantastic Four just saw fit to signal their virtue, and you're going to want to sit down or light up your vape for that. You really shouldn't though, as there is a so much better alternative, namely flavored air. That's right, flavored air. It's a whole movement towards better habits, and it's led by Fume, the sponsor of this video. If you haven't heard about flavored air before, then think of it this way. If vaping is a sticky soda, then flavored air is herbal tea, and Fume is an award-winning flavored air device. It looks awesome with a weighted, high-quality design. It's made to be fidgeted with, complete with soothing snaps and clicks, thus filling the void of any bad habit you may want to ditch. Fume has lots of delicious flavors to choose from, like crisp mint, my personal favorite, as well as orange vanilla, another popular choice, amongst many others. There's no vapor, so you can use it anywhere, and obviously there's no addictive nicotine. On the contrary, Fume continuously invests in third-party studies to ensure the safety of their products. Fume is even backed by doctors in the US. With flavored air, you can satisfy your fixation through a passive diffusion system that utilizes no electronics, vapor, or combustion. Fume has served over 300,000 customers to date, and you can be the next success story. For a limited time, use our code MidnightSedge to get your free topper. It's the perfect accessory to your Fume device. Just slip it onto the mouthpiece for a softer, warmer feel. It's chewable for those who love to fidget, and it's reusable. Head to tryfume.com, that's tryfum.com, and use code MidnightSedge, or scan the QR code on screen to get your free Fume topper when you order your journey pack today. Thanks to Fume for sponsoring this video, and with that, let's get back to how Marvel are on track to mess up their own first family, and this time there's nobody to blame but themselves. Many were quite surprised when a Caucasian actor was cast as Johnny Storm in Marvel's own Fantastic Four, after Michael B. Jordan portrayed the character in the 2015 Fantastic. It should be noted, however, that there was no virtue signaling or other messaging involved in that particular piece of stunt casting. No, that was simply a case of director Josh Trank casting against type for literally every character, specifically so fans would be confused and wonder what the hell he was thinking, and then later realize what a genius he had been all along and learn not to be so judgmental next time. Except those latter steps never happened. People never stopped wondering what the hell he was thinking, and maybe he wasn't, because he was, allegedly, rumoredly, supposedly, having some ongoing mental breakdown at the time. Either way, this time, Johnny Storm will actually look like the comics, portrayed by actor Joseph Quinn. But will he have the swagger and the charm of the Johnny Storm of the comics, like Chris Evans brought to the table before? Or will he be more like the broken and repressed Johnny Storm that Michael B. Jordan portrayed under the direction of Josh Trank? Well, judging by the actor's words, it's likely going to be closer to the latter. Along with the rest of the cast, the new Johnny Storm actor Joseph Quinn spoke out to Entertainment Weekly, a publication that studios like Disney pay to do feature articles to get their narrative about upcoming movies out there and picked up by later articles. So perhaps it's not accurate to say that he spoke out. It's more like Disney told him, here's your lines for this interview, say them out loud to those people over there, and then pose for the accompanying photo shoot. That's really important to keep in mind here. This is no regular interview. This is a paid-for puff piece, orchestrated, maybe even in part written by Disney, and more likely than not, signed off on by Disney before it ever saw print. In cases of puff pieces like this one, you would be well advised to consider Disney the contractor, and every word and phrase on print a part of their preferred narrative that they hope will be further spread into every later article covering the movie. Case in point, this passage right here. The new film will be set in the 60s, just not our 60s. First Steps is the 37th installment in the MCU, but it won't be set on the same Earth as Iron Man or the Avengers. Instead, the film begins on a parallel world in the Marvel multiverse where history has unfolded differently. In our timeline, the 50s and 60s were full of artists and thinkers who imagined utopian futures full of miracle inventions like flying cars and robot friends. In this world, Reed Richards exists to invent them. And jumping forward just a smidge, one word comes up repeatedly: retrofuturism. The aesthetic watchword for this film meant that, in every respect, the creative team wanted to combine 60s period details with sci-fi imagination. To get even more specific, Schachmann describes the film style as where Jack Kirby meets Stanley Kubrick, with the original Fantastic Four comics and 2001 A Space Odyssey as the major visual reference points. These are things you'll see pop up in every article covering the movie between now and release, and that's why they pay for pieces like this. This is the seed article. And that is all good and well, I have no objection to that. Yet showcasing how out of touch Disney and Marvel are, the piece even admits the MCU is struggling, writing, "These classic characters are headed back to the big screen to see if they can inspire the same kind of wonder they did when they debuted in the 60s, and in the process, save not just their fictional world, but also the struggling Marvel Cinematic Universe." But just after having stated that, and this is where how out of touch they are come into the picture, the piece then has the actors making statements that will make the audience positively recoil. The piece then gets into Johnny Storm, an actor Joseph Quinn, writing, "Johnny is Marvel's archetype of a hothead teenager." But what exactly that means has been open to interpretation over the years. In the 2005 and 2007 Fantastic Four movies, for instance, Chris Evans played the character as a skirt-chasing scallywag. Quinn wanted to do something different. No. Quinn actually had no say in that matter. His job is to read the lines, not shape the character. That was done before he ever was cast. Still, he is quoted as saying, "He's a man that leads with a lot of bravado, which can be an affront sometimes. But also, he's funny," Quinn says. Myself and Marvel Studios boss Kevin Feige were speaking about previous iterations of him and where we are culturally. Uh-oh, that's a red alert right there. Because Marvel and the rest of the world are in very different places culturally. Anyway, his quote continues. "He was branded as this womanizing devil-may-care guy, but is that sexy these days? I don't think so." Yeah, that's what every simp who can't get a date thinks. Anyway, the quote continues. "This version of Johnny is less callous with other people's feelings, and hopefully there's a self-awareness about what's driving that attention-seeking behavior." Now allow me to translate that into non-bullshit for you. Marvel and Kevin Feige are deeply entrenched into the Hollywood bubble, and in that echo chamber, they're worried that Johnny, acting like he does in the comics, is going to be branded with the toxic masculinity label. Can you imagine if one of Kevin Feige's ultra-liberal friends came up to him at a cocktail party? and asked him why he'd platformed toxic masculinity in his movie. What, is he MAGA or something? Kevin Feige would just die if something like that were to happen. Just the thought of something like that is too much to bear, so it's very important for them all to make it clear right away that this Johnny Storm will be very, very safe for women, and comply with the Hollywood bubble's expectations of what a man should be, and stay well within what woke Hollywood publicly considers acceptable, even for a preppy. Out there in the real world, where audiences everywhere have resoundingly rejected Hollywood and Disney's virtue signaling to the tune of discarding Marvel, Star Wars, Star Trek, and Doctor Who en masse. These words can do nothing but damage the movie, especially when combined with the presence of female Silver Surfette. I wouldn't be surprised if the people at Marvel are so deluded that they actually think the audience is going to read that quote, whether in that article or one of the many other articles that will further disseminate the quote, and think, thank God they're updating Johnny Storm for modern audiences and sensibilities. It would have been really triggering if he was like in the comics. And there probably are some bubble dwellers who think like that, but not in the rest of the world outside the bubble. This is the irony that people in the bubble, and that sadly includes the people making our corporate entertainment, just don't get. The very same things which are considered virtuous in the bubble are considered toxic, bordering on radioactive with everyone else. This statement about Johnny Storm is enough to make the many who were already on the fence write the movie off forever. And the reason they were on the fence in the first place is Marvel's past virtue signaling, which has done nothing but promote hatred, division, and ruin their brand. And yet they're still at it. I was hoping Fantastic Four was made at the time when Marvel had enough data to realize a radical change in direction was necessary, but I guess that hope was in vain. There is more to say about the Fantastic Four, and I will follow up on that, but for now, do you have any hope left for this movie? Let me know in the comments, and before you go, head to tryfume.com, that's tryfum.com, and use code MidnightSedge, or scan the QR code on screen to get your free Fume topper when you order your journey pack today.